quality of life aspect. So when we retire, we may have barely enough, I may have barely enough money to feed myself, but I may not have enough money, let's say, to go on holiday, which I would like to do in my retirement years. And I'm medium income. How about a low income person? So what are your thoughts about this, and are there any plans?
Okay. I'm waiting for an unimportant question, but it hasn't come yet. So there are two parts of your question. First, on the part which you weren't focusing on, which is yourself and those who are, earning better, have better potential income. The property market is still rather hot, and we've been trying to tame it. That is something which we can't overdo, but it's not our intention to allow the market to just run away and for prices to run much faster than incomes. We'll never be able to tame it completely. You can look all across Asia, there is this problem that the property market always has a tendency to move in a bit of a bubble. And we've been intervening more than most countries to try to tame it. But it'll take a few years before we resolve this fully. You can see how hard we're working on the HDB market to expand supply. We've had 4 rounds of measures to dampen speculation and to make sure that those who are not genuine buyers, who are buying purely for investment or speculation, pay a cost for it. So we're trying. That's one aspect of it. But on the broader question you ask about, should low-income people be given the opportunity to own a flat? And remember, the way we've tried to help them is by giving them a very substantial grant, $60,000 additional housing grant plus special housing grant. It's basically, part of it is a matter of social philosophy, but part of it is also the hard numbers. The fact is, if you want to pay for rental, because remember, the alternative is not that you don't pay anything, The alternative is you have to pay for rental. If you have to pay for rental throughout your life, it's a significant part of your take-home pay. And at the end of this process, when you finally retire, you don't have an asset. You've paid for rental on someone else's asset, right? So the issue is, can we give people who are relatively low income a chance to own a home, make it affordable by giving them a grant, give them a subsidized loan, but make sure that it goes together with a job. Because if people do not hold a job, then it's a bad idea to own a home, quite obviously. It's a bad idea to own a home. But our strategy is not about homes per se. Our strategy is about homes, jobs, and skills. And it has to go together. It has to go together, which means that for someone who owns a home to have opportunities to hold a job, and when he's out of a job, try and get him back into a job as quickly as possible. Keep retraining them. That's actually not a bad solution, because they see their incomes go up over time. They're paying to service a loan, but they also have a home that can appreciate over time. So when you look at it, when you work out the numbers, compared to pure rental, owning a home and being able to service your loan because you have a job is quite a superior social strategy, which many other societies have lacked. And the other reason why it is important is because one thing that people don't focus on in many countries is wealth disparity. Of course, it's inevitable. There will be wealth disparities. But one of the things that's a real crying shame in many societies is how those in the bottom 30%, in fact, even more than the bottom 30%, are basically not sharing in any form of asset appreciation. Because asset appreciation is for the top, those who own stocks and shares and properties. They don't share in any asset appreciation. And one of the things that we must never forget in Singapore, is, at least until now, if you look at the long stretch of time, HDB prices have appreciated as much as private property prices. And it's very hard to sustain, but we've got to make sure we have a system where you don't have one group of people, a significant group of people in your society, that have no asset appreciation and lose out on savings, and another group at the top that basically keeps accumulating assets. It leads to what technically you call path dependency. Once you're on that path, you have a continued advantage if you're at the top, and those that have no asset have a continued disadvantage. So home ownership is partly a practical matter, but it's also a matter of social culture. Because one of the things I find is that when you meet people who own a home, even relatively low income, their whole attitude is quite different. Attitude towards the job and keeping the job, quite different from those who are on rental. They take a long-term view and they try every way of staying in a job. And you can understand why. You want to make sure you continue to hold on to the home and you can service the loan. It's a very different attitude towards the job that you find amongst those who are homeowners. And the other very interesting thing about it, which other countries have found as well, is that when the parents hold jobs continuously, or try to hold jobs as much as they can, the children also behave differently. Children or parents who don't have jobs are typically at a loose end themselves, for reasons that sociologists haven't fully understood, but it's an empirical fact. It's true in Britain, it's true in many societies. So it all adds up together as a broader social strategy, not home ownership per se as a singular strategy, but home ownership, helping people get jobs, helping them upgrade in the jobs, and helping everyone through education so that the next generation, the parents' kids, are also moving up in some way. It has to add up together.
I'm sorry, Mr. Tharman. The main thrust of my question was about the high, you talk about asset appreciation of HDB and how right now the prices are quite high. I mean, the government can control the prices because we are giving a discount, I think discount from the market value, but with such high prices of HDB, it is very hard to maintain any quality of life after you.
No, I agree with you that basically, as I was trying, I didn't explain myself carefully enough.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
sorry.
We are going through a bit of a cycle, and we are not in a very happy part of the cycle, because prices have risen faster than incomes in the last 4 years, especially. If you take it over the long haul, it's not so bad. Over the long haul, prices have roughly tracked income, okay? But it is now above an equilibrium level. Prices have risen too fast. And that's because demand has shot up. And it's amazing how quickly demand shot up. Even before the market started turning around, people started jumping in and prices started moving. They moved very fast. And we were behind the curve in the supply of housing, which we're now correcting. We're now correcting it. Very significant increase in the number of flats being put out through the BTO market, and also in the private market for that matter. But it takes time. You can't correct the cycle immediately. It takes a bit of time. So I was being frank when I said no country, and certainly no Asian market, can control the property market entirely. You can't have perfectly steady growth year after year. It'll go in cycles. And one of the things we've got to do is to keep leaning against the wind. So when the market is hotting up, lean against it so that you don't have a big crash after that.